These are 8 games like Fallout 4 that'll keep you exploring post-apocalyptic worlds in 2026. From brand new releases to hidden gems you might have missed, these titles capture everything you love about wandering the wasteland with Dogmeat by your side. The post-apocalyptic RPG genre has absolutely exploded over the past year. And if you're craving that perfect blend of exploration, survival, and storytelling that made Fallout 4 so addictive, you're watching the right video. Some of these games take you to irradiated wastelands, others are more dystopian, and a few transport you to entirely new continents. But they all share that magical formula of open-world discovery and first-person RPG mechanics that keeps you playing just one more hour. Let's start with the most recent arrival that's been getting a lot of attention since March. Atomfall might just be the most British thing you'll ever play, and I mean that in the best possible way. Set in an alternate 1960s England where the real-world wind-scale nuclear disaster of 1957 went very, very wrong. This game takes everything you love about Fallout's retro-futuristic aesthetic and gives it a proper cup of tea. Atomfall is amazing because of more than just the setting, though that quarantine zone filled with giant robots and mysterious infections is absolutely captivating. It's the way the game respects your intelligence. There are no quest markers holding your hand, no yellow paint showing you where to climb, and no arbitrary distinction between main and side missions. You're dropped into this world and left to follow your own curiosity, which is exactly what made exploring the Commonwealth so compelling. The game received the Wicked Isle expansion in June 2025 and the Red Strain in September 2025, keeping content fresh and relevant. Critics have been raving about it, with Games Radar calling it something much better than British Fallout and giving it a 4.5 out of 5. The game literally opens with a vault-style sequence that'll feel immediately familiar to any Fallout fan, but then it takes you somewhere completely different. The shooting mechanics are solid, the world design is gorgeous, and there's this underlying sense of mystery that keeps pulling you forward. Overlap with Fallout. Post-nuclear setting, retro-futuristic tone, exploration-focused design, scavenging for survival, factions shaping the world, mystery-first storytelling, environmental discovery, weaknesses. Atomfall avoids hand-holding almost completely if you prefer structured quest direction and map guidance. Like Fallout 4, this can feel disorienting. Combat depth is also lighter compared to larger AAA RPG systems. Next up, for those who loved Fallout 4's narrative depth, world building, and storytelling, Cyberpunk 2077 is my number 2 pick on the list. Now I know this isn't post-apocalyptic in the nuclear wasteland sense, but if what pulled you into Fallout wasn't just the setting, but the freedom, the first-person RPG mechanics, and the way the world reacts to your choices through complex dialogue trees, Cyberpunk absolutely hits those same notes. Developed by CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077 has come a very long way since its original launch. After years of updates, expansions, and systemic overhauls, Night City has turned into one of the most immersive RPG sandboxes out there right now. The world is dense, layered, and packed with stories, from major narrative arcs to small environmental details you stumble across while exploring side streets and back alleys. Instead of scavenging irradiated ruins, you're navigating corporate-controlled districts, gang territories, and neon-lit urban sprawls. But the core loop feels familiar. You build your character, specialize your playstyle, upgrade gear, and tackle problems however you want. Stealth, hacking, brute force, or something in between. The freedom of approach is very Fallout-like in spirit. What really makes Cyberpunk resonate for Fallout fans is how much emphasis it places on choice and consequence. Dialogue paths branch, relationships evolve based on your actions, and story outcomes can shift in meaningful ways. Combat and progression systems have also been massively refined. Weapon handling feels responsive, cyberware customization adds strategic depth, and character builds genuinely affect how encounters play out. Combined with strong writing and standout performances, the narrative engagement level is extremely high. Overlap with Fallout. Quests with choices, build variety, character progression, freedom, gear and crafting systems, faction interactions, environmental storytelling, world reacts to you, first-person RPG perspective, dialogue trees, weaknesses. not focused on exploration in the same organic way. Urban density replaces wasteland discovery, less sandbox chaos, and fewer systemic wander and stumble into something weird moments. Now here's a game that absolutely demands attention. Stalker 2, Heart of Chornobyl. Released in November 2024, this is perhaps the most direct spiritual successor to Fallout's exploration-heavy gameplay you'll find. Set in the radioactive Chornobyl exclusion zone, you're literally exploring a post-nuclear wasteland filled with mutants, anomalies, and desperate survivors. The reason Stalker 2 is so good is that it nails atmospheric immersion. The world feels genuinely dangerous and unpredictable. Weather systems, day-night cycles, and dynamic faction conflicts create emergent storytelling moments that rival anything in the Fallout series. The shooting mechanics are realistic and weighty, ammunition is precious, and every expedition into the zone requires careful planning. The game features multiple faction storylines, moral choices with real consequences, and that same sense of wonder you get when discovering a new location in Fallout. Critics have praised its technical achievements and atmosphere, though some note the learning curve can be steep for newcomers to the series. Overlap with Fallout: post-nuclear exploration, faction warfare, scavenging mechanics, environmental storytelling, mutant creatures, moral choice consequences, weaknesses, more hardcore survival focus than Fallout, less humor and retro aesthetic charm, steeper learning curve and more punishing difficulty. But here's something that might surprise you. One of the best Fallout 4 experiences available right now isn't actually a standalone game. Fallout London is a total conversion mod that's so ambitious and polished, it feels like premium DLC. Released in July 2024 after 5 years in development, this free mod transported over 500,000 players to post-apocalyptic Britain in its first 24 hours alone. Set in 2027 between the events of the original Fallout and Fallout 2, London presents a completely different take on nuclear devastation. Instead of the American 1950s aesthetic, you get a distinctly British post-war atmosphere, complete with a bulldog companion named Churchill instead of Dogmeat. The mod features 200 quests, 20 different factions, celebrity voice actors, and a main map roughly the same size as Fallout 4's base game. What's particularly impressive is how Team Fallout has continued supporting the mod. They released the Rabbit and Pork DLC in September 2025 with over 1,400 bug fixes, and they're planning 2 more expansions. There's even a VR version if you want to experience post-nuclear London in virtual reality. The mod runs on Bethesda's creation engine, maintaining that familiar Fallout feel while offering completely new content. Overlap with Fallout: same engine framework, perk-driven builds, scavenging loop, factions, dialogue outcomes, exploration incentives, environmental storytelling, Pip-Boy interface. Weaknesses requires mod setup and stability tolerance. Not officially supported content. Performance and compatibility vary. Also PC only, limiting accessibility. For those seeking the authentic Fallout DNA from its original creators, The Outer Worlds deserves dedicated attention. Developed by Obsidian Entertainment, the same studio behind Fallout New Vegas, this game represents a direct spiritual successor to the isometric Fallout classics. Led by Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky, the original co-creators of Fallout, The Outer Worlds captures that perfect blend of dark humor, moral ambiguity, and player choice that defined the early franchise. Set in an alternate future where mega-corporations have colonized space, you play as a character awakened from cryosleep to find humanity under corporate control. The game features the same dialogue tree complexity, faction-based storytelling, and consequence-heavy decision-making that made Fallout New Vegas so beloved. I put The Outer Worlds on my list because of its overall vibe and player agency. Every major story beat can be approached multiple ways. Companions have deep personal storylines, and your character build genuinely affects dialogue options and quest solutions. The writing maintains that signature Fallout wit while exploring themes of capitalism and corporate control. Overlap with Fallout: choice-driven narratives, faction complexity, companion relationships, skill-based dialogue, moral ambiguity, dark humor, RPG character builds. Weaknesses: not as deep as Fallout games, less open world exploration, more hub-based design. Combat lacks the variety of modern entries. Now, if you're more interested in zombie-infested wastelands than nuclear ones, Dying Light: The Beast deserves your attention. Released in September 2025, the standalone title started life as an expansion for Dying Light 2, but grew into something special. You play as Kyle Crane, returning to the role with original voice actor Roger Craig Smith, and the game takes place in Castor Woods, a zombie-infested rural setting that's a refreshing change from the urban environments of previous entries. What makes The Beast special is how it captures the essence of what made the original Dying Light so compelling while refining the formula. The parkour mechanics are smooth, the day-night cycle creates genuine tension, and the open world is packed with secrets to discover. Games Radar called it a staggering achievement that feels more alive than Harran or Vildor combined. The game is actually being called Dying Light 3 by franchise director Taiman Smektawa, and after spending time with it, that assessment feels accurate. It's not the biggest game in the series, but it might be the most perfectly paced. Overlap with Fallout: open world survival tension, resource gathering, exploration risk/reward, environmental storytelling, player-driven navigation. Weaknesses: RPG depth is limited, character builds and narrative agency are lighter compared to Fallout systems. Focus leans heavily toward action and traversal mechanics. For those who want something with a more classic RPG structure, Metro Exodus remains one of the finest post-apocalyptic experiences available. Set in 2023's Russia, after nuclear devastation, you follow Artyom as he journeys across the Russian wilderness in search of other survivors. The game features large, open zones that encourage exploration while maintaining the series' trademark claustrophobic atmosphere. The gunplay in Metro Exodus is some of the most realistic and satisfying you'll find in any game. Every weapon feels weighty and dangerous, ammunition is precious, and the environment itself tells stories without saying a word. It's a more linear experience than some games on this list, but the quality of each area is exceptional. Overlap with Fallout: post-nuclear atmosphere, surviving in hostile environment, scavenging and crafting weapons, mutants and factions, consequences for actions. Weaknesses: more curated and linear. Exploration exists but isn't sandbox driven. Less systemic freedom, and stealth AI can occasionally behave inconsistently. Wasteland 3, released in 2020, comes from Exile Entertainment and founder Brian Fargo, one of the original creators of Fallout at Interplay Entertainment. This connection runs deep. Wasteland was actually Fallout's spiritual predecessor, with Fargo and his team at Interplay creating the original Wasteland in 1988, before going on to develop the first Fallout game. Set in post-apocalyptic Colorado, this turn-based RPG puts you in control of two desert rangers trying to negotiate with a local leader for support. What makes Wasteland 3 special is how it encourages multiple playthroughs. Your character build and dialogue choices can dramatically change entire story arcs, making each run feel genuinely different. It's a more traditional RPG than others on this list, but the quality of writing and tactical depth make it essential for fans of narrative-driven, post-apocalyptic games. The game carries forward that distinctive Fallout DNA through its moral complexity, faction-based storytelling, and dark humor. Having Brian Fargo at the helm ensures the narrative sensibilities that made the original Fallout so compelling are alive and well. Overlap with Fallout: post-apocalyptic setting, moral choices, faction consequences, dialogue influence, world state impact, branching outcomes. Original creator lineage. Weaknesses: turn-based structure limits immersion for players who prefer first-person exploration. Less environmental wandering, more tactical, less experiential. Looking ahead to the rest of 2026, there are even more exciting releases coming. Pioneer entered early access on December 16, 2025, offering a 50 square kilometer open world with realistic survival mechanics and faction warfare set in post-Soviet Russia. Meanwhile, a game called Erosion has been announced for 2026, promising a time-shifting open-world roguelike set in a post-apocalyptic Wild West, where every death costs a decade. The post-apocalyptic RPG genre is healthier than it's ever been, with developers clearly understanding what makes these worlds so compelling to explore. Whether you want the hardcore survival of Stalker 2, the narrative depth of the Outer Worlds, or the familiar comfort of Fallout London running on Bethesda's creation engine, there's never been a better time to lose yourself in a radioactive wasteland. These games prove that the formula Fallout 4 perfected, combining exploration, character progression, environmental storytelling, and player choice, continues to inspire developers around the world. Each offers its own unique take on survival in hostile worlds, but they all share that addictive quality that makes you want to see what's over the next hill, inside the next building, or beyond the next horizon. The Wasteland is vast, and it's waiting for you to explore it.